Alright guys, you know what it is. Today we're looking at the cameras that I'm using, the settings that I use, and do you really need all these cameras or not? Let's get into it. So today I just want to talk about my journey with the YouTube channel, falling into, do I need the most up-to-date gear or not, what cameras work, what settings work, and just where I'm going with everything. I've gone through a lot of cameras, GoPro, Insta360, dipping into the DJI, and I also have a Canon that I use. Right now, I found myself fully developed into the Insta360 ecosystem. Now this isn't a sponsored video, but I do have affiliate links for Insta360 that if you use, they help the channel out. They don't cost you anything, but you'll get some free stuff if you decide to buy one of the cameras from them. I have the cameras set up. We'll do a little B-roll that shows the cameras, where they're at, what brand, and what settings I'm using. And then future self will bounce between the cameras while we're out riding, and I'll put the settings down there, let you know how I have it set up, and we'll talk about it, and we'll get into what matters most, the most up-to-date, coolest camera, or just structure and content on what you're filming and what your purpose is. Alright guys, so my filming career started with me playing around with a GoPro Hero 3 Black and dabbling with it. Never really got, good at it, just kind of run and gun, point and shoot, and that's what I used for the longest time. And then when the Hero 7 Black came out, I picked it up, which I used for a long time. I got a GoPro Hero 10. I did not like the color scape of the 10, so I sold the 10 and got the first Insta360 camera. Did I need to do that? Probably not. The B-roll was filmed using the GoPro Hero 7 in 4K, 60 frames per second. Future self will be putting all of that stuff down for everybody who's interested in the settings and everything. One good thing to keep in mind is editing software. I use Final Cut Pro for my editing software, so that's quick and easy. Let's get that out of the way. That's the editing software I use, and I've been deep into the Apple ecosystem now for a while. Went from Pro Tools, got annoyed with the subscription-based stuff with Pro Tools, and when that happened, I switched over to Apple and have been using Apple ever since. And granted, I have a lot I can learn there as well, but that's probably a video for another day. Alright, now for me personally, I get curious and I watch camera gear videos on YouTube just as well, seeing what the next cool thing is. I get lost into that sometimes with not necessarily keeping up with the Joneses, but just what's coming out, and is it something I want, and do I need to add it to my collection. And from what I'm learning and realizing is, these cameras are kind of, I don't want to say they're peak, because trust me, I'm no expert, but your TVs are in 4K, YouTube compresses 4K stuff, so it's not even like real 4K, and then everybody, oh, I'm filming in 8K this. Like, you don't even have the TV and stuff to really fully immerse yourself in it. The 8K helps you out in post when you're editing the stuff, but you, the viewer, you don't know the difference really between 8K and 4K. You're not paying attention to that, right? You're paying attention to the story. And that's what matters the most, is the story, not that camera or the camera behind me or this one. You only need one camera to make a good story, or to tell a good story, and you need to work on structure and pacing and timing and everything. And that's what I find myself needing to work on to entertain you guys and keep y'all tuning in, is just what am I talking about, how do I present it, and does it vibe with what you guys are wanting to watch and hear and see or whatever, you know, because my hobbies span from riding motorcycles to cameras to editing and software and music. So, you know, to me it's just a creative outlet that I hope you guys can enjoy. Each one of these cameras are unique in their own way. Obviously the 360 camera is cool for whatever you want to do. If you want to make shorts or reels and do the small world thing, or just film and have 360 around you, so in post if you ride by something that you might not have seen but the camera saw that was cool, you know, you can capture it. Me personally, I don't like fooling with the 360 camera. It's just a lot to deal with in post, and it's just not there for me. It's just not clicking for me, you know. I haven't used it a lot, again, because of messing with it in post, but I'm going to try to bring it out. I know they've done several updates to the firmware since I last messed with it, or the editing software and everything, so maybe it's not as bad as it used to be, and maybe I can start utilizing it more. But again, that's just one of those cameras that I just don't fully take advantage of. So I had bought the Insta360 Ace Pro, and shortly after that the Ace Pro 2 came out, and I saw everybody, you know, overhyping it and blah blah blah, and was like, oh, let me get that camera too, and then I can get completely away from the GoPro family, and I could have the Ace Pro in front of me and the Ace Pro here to kind of keep the vibe the same between switching back and forth. And then I got the Insta360 Go 3S because I'd like to get more in front of the camera, showing my face, talking, and maybe filming, like if I go somewhere and I want to eat or something, film the environment of getting the food and eating or whatever, you know, like we see on all the vlogs we watch. And I wanted something discreet because, you know, I'm not fully comfortable filming in front of a whole crowded people, you know. I don't want to disturb people by filming. So I got that one because it is little, and maybe, you know, it could build up my confidence in filming in front of other people just by being a little bit discreet, not so obvious, like, oh, I'm making a YouTube video, you know. I don't want that vibe around me, and I'm just not comfortable with that yet. So that's why I got the Instago 3S, is just to try to be a little bit more discreet. Maybe I could put it in cooler places, you know, just kind of get as creative as I can get with it being as little as it is. And then the Canon camera that I have, I bought that a while ago. I mean, it's a T7i, you know, that's a 2016, 2017, 2014 camera, I think. I mean, that's an older camera. And I got that just to kind of get into photography and stills and stuff, but I found myself never using it, which I'm hoping to kind of change that. For my next video that I have coming up, I'm going to ride down to Radium Springs, Georgia, and try to take some pictures and see, you know, just make a more interesting vlog for you guys, and also maybe start doing a blog on the web page where I could write about that stuff as well. If you guys are liking what you've seen so far, go ahead and do me a favor and hit that thumbs up and subscribe button for me, and share with your friends. We're on the road to 1,000, and I know the only way to get there is for me to produce better stuff, but you know, every little comment, every little share, every little thumbs up helps the algorithm to get out in front of more viewers on YouTube, so I greatly appreciate it. And for those of you that have stuck around this far in the video, I appreciate y'all hanging in there and bearing with me while we go through all this. One thing that I've started using are ND filters, and I'm trying to understand that whole relationship with everything, because I do like going for the cinematic feel on things. You know, I like the motion blur. It's just my approach, my style, which, you know, a lot of people do, but a lot of people also are doing 60 frames per second, which is more crisp and not as cinematic or kind of familiar with what you see in the movies. But with the ND filters and the settings on these cameras, you know, that's one of the most important things too. You know, if you're going to start out moto vlogging or travel vlogging or just whatever, and you're going to get the camera, learn the settings, and then learn how to apply and use the ND filters. And remember your ISO settings and your shutter speed and all those rules, because it all relates. Because it's happened more times to me to go out and go film something, come back home, and then realize, oh, I can't even use that because my ISO was too high and it's all whitewashed. You know, I didn't bring the right ND filter, or I forgot to put the ND filter on. So, you know, not only is having the story to tell and the structure of how you're going to tell it important, but also making sure your camera settings, and taking the time to double check it, have you a little checklist, run through all your settings to make sure everything is how you want to use it and it's right for the day. Today is overcast, so the ND filter that I'm using now is I believe we're bouncing between ND 16, maybe a ND 8 or a 4. You know, I'll have future self will notate that when we're bouncing between views on what the settings are and what ND filters are used. But the ND filters are cool when used right. They can get out of hand if you're not careful. So, you know, take the time to learn the cameras and the equipment that you have. But you ultimately do not need multiple cameras to get started. And you do not need the latest and greatest camera either. Like I said, the GoPro Hero 7 filmed the walk around, and I'm pretty sure there's not a big difference between what you guys have seen between that Hero 7, the older Ace Pro, the newer Ace Pro 2, and the Go 3S. So if you're on a budget, you know, find one of these older cameras and pick it up and then learn how to use it. Every single manufacturer does have a different color scheme, and, you know, I don't get into grading or anything. You know, I don't do a lot of color grading in post. I just kind of mess with it a little bit. That's another topic I need to learn. But yeah, now that I realize we're getting rained on, we're going to head back towards the house. But enjoy the vlog in the rain while we're raining, because, you know, that's what riding's all about, adventure. And we're in an adventure now. All right, anyway. So yeah, the biggest thing I could give y'all from just my learning is get the camera, start slow with the camera, don't go crazy and accessorize it, don't chase other content creators that you watch and you maybe want to mimic. I mean, yeah, everybody wants to mimic and look good and cool and all that, but, you know, don't go wild with it. I don't even know what I'll say because the Harley guy's distracted me. Alright, so I picked up the Osmo Pocket 3 DJI camera to help with doing talking head and vlogging and saying, okay, you know, let's quit staying behind the helmet and let's get in front of the camera. And I'm liking that. I'm not very good with the gimbal. You can do the same thing with the handheld cameras. You know, you don't need to spin all that just to get that cool gimbal thing, you know, effect or whatever, because it does take time to learn that too, and I'm in the process of learning patience and steadiness using that. But if you're looking into the DJI stuff, which a lot of content creators are, be aware, you know, I want one of their drones, and right now the USA is not liking DJI. They're not letting them sell any drones. No drones are coming into America from DJI, and all the action cameras are sold out online too. So I don't know what's going on with there, but you know, I was looking at the Osmo Action 5 Pro to see, hey, do I want to add that one to my collection? And you know, I've decided no, I'm good with what I got with the Instant 360 stuff, but I do eventually want to get a drone and just kind of get those captivating shots too, because for me, I enjoy editing and the creativity side of it. You know, you guys may not like the drone shots and the drawn out stuff. You know, everybody has their own sense of what they like to see and what they like to consume as far as content. But me personally, I would like to get a drone and just lean into that and see what type of creative shots I could come up with, or add to the story for when there are those dead spots where maybe you don't have nothing to talk about, but maybe you're in a pretty place and you want to show that scenery and everything. You know, I think the drones are really cool at doing that, because there's a lot of YouTube guys that I watch that have drones, and sometimes it's like, I just like watching their drone footage because it's cool. Alright guys, so hopefully Future Self did a good job of putting the camera and the settings that were used, and did a good job between splicing between it for different viewpoints. You know, I didn't get to stay out today and ride as much as I wanted to. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because like I said, we're on that road to 1,000 and I can't do it without y'all. So I appreciate every subscribe and thumbs up and comment, you know, and let me know down in the comments below, what cameras are you guys using, what cameras are you guys thinking about purchasing, and what tips and tricks have you learned that might help me out or might help somebody else that's following in the community. So just go crazy down there with your thoughts and opinions in the comments, and let us know what your experience is. I appreciate each and every one of y'all, and thanks for tuning in. And like I said, next week we're going to Radium Springs, and I'm taking one of the bikes that probably you wouldn't imagine doing a 300+ mile round trip on. So tune in for that, and I'll see you next week, guys. Ride safe.